prices keep going up. Groceries cost more, transport fares rise, and somehow the same amount of money buys less and less. We call it inflation, a word that's often thrown around in news headlines, policy discussions, and even everyday conversations. But what exactly is inflation? Why does it happen? And can it ever be a good thing? Well, on this episode of Untangle, we aim to understand what inflation really means, what drives it, and how it shapes the daily realities of people and nations. My name, as always, is Blessing Dagin. Welcome to Untangle. Now, to break down inflation today is Evaristus Ikpa, a development economist and national caretaker chairman of the Association of Graduate Economics Students. Thank you so much for joining us, sir.
It's a pleasure being here again.
All right. So we're talking about inflation today.
Yeah.
When we hear the word inflation, a lot of things come to mind, for a lot of people. So what really does it mean?
Okay, thank you. I like looking at economic terms from the English meaning. Okay, so inflation might sound very big, inflation, but break it down. Before the shun, there's a word called inflate. So what does inflate mean? Increase or expand. So you can say, you send somebody to go and buy something in the market. If the price is 2 naira, the person comes back and tell you the price is 4 naira. You see that person has inflated the price of that item.
Yeah.
And also look at it from, maybe you use a balloon as an example. When you get a normal balloon, it is flat, right?
Yeah.
The more air you pump into it, you're inflating it, right? So that's how I look at the word inflation. So in economics, inflation is a sustained increase in the general prices of goods and services in an economy over a period of time. So the fact that there is an increase does not mean there's inflation. So it has to be sustained over a period of time. Mostly 1 year. Yeah, so that's how I would just summarize inflation.
Okay, so let's open it more.
Yeah.
Let's not leave it at summary level.
Okay.
What really causes inflation? How does it happen? What does it drive at?
Okay, inflation is being caused by different factors.
Okay.
And economics, there are different theories that we use to describe inflation. So to the monetarist economists, those who specialize in monetary economics, how exchange rates, how interest rates affects the economy, they'll tell you inflation is caused by the monetary side, increase in money supply. So for example, if the central bank decides to print so much money in the economy, so there will be so much money in the economy. So it will be so much money chasing few goods. Okay, we come back again. If the central bank, for example, decides to lower interest rates, now you easily go to the bank, you collect money. So everybody's rushing to the bank to collect money. It means there's so much money in the economy. So that's the monetary aspect of inflation. But to the Keynesians, we have a Keynesian economist, they say no, inflation is demand side. Okay? It is caused by aggregate demand. So what that means is everybody's rushing to go and buy. There's little out there in the market, but we are rushing to go and buy it. So if there's, let's say, 2 bottled water here, you have 20 naira, I have 20 naira. And that bottled water goes for let's say the bottled water goes for 15 naira. Okay, you can go and buy your bottled water and you're okay with it. I go buy my bottled water, I'm okay with it. I still have 5 naira left. Okay, but if we now have only one bottled water and you have your money, I have my money. Okay,
Yeah.
so you have 20 naira, I have 20 naira. That is 40 naira.
Yeah.
40 naira chasing only one bottled water. The seller of that water can come and say, no, since I don't have so much water in stock and these people need this water, let me take the price up. Even without the seller saying you should increase the price, you now, to outdo me, you want to increase from the 15 naira that we used to buy that water.
Yeah.
Since you are thirsty, you need that water and I need the water. You might want to offer 25 naira for that water. Then I might come and say, no, let me offer you 28 naira from the money we have.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
So that's what happens.
Interesting.
That's what causes inflation.
Interesting.
Now, sorry.
Okay.
Those are two sides. You know, we talk about the monetary, we talk about the Keynesians.
Okay.
We've talked about the aggregate demand. Then there's another side that said no. There's what they call expectations. You know, we call it inbuilt inflation. So we might stay now and say, oh, okay, we are expecting that this is rainy season. We are expecting that as we are entering dry season, we'll not be having, let me use okra, for example.
Okay.
We might not be having too much okra
Okay.
in the market. So what you do, this is October. You have storage facility, I have storage facility. Because there's going to be shortage in the supply of okra, in the production of okra, you might want to go and buy plenty okra and store. I might want to go and buy plenty okra and store. Since you are rushing to buy, I'm rushing to buy. Because of the expectations we are having, inflation can also surge.
Okay.
So these are different aspects, and there's also a structural aspect where increase in wage also causes inflation. So inflation is not just caused by so much money in the economy. Okay, there are other things that triggers inflation to come up.
Okay, so let's talk about it from the consumer perspective.
Okay.
So what does it mean for an average man? Now, you're an economist and you understand that different things cause inflation.
Yeah.
But then to us, maybe to a lot of people, inflation is just the increase, in price of goods. So how can you break it down better, or, for us to really get a clear picture that is not maybe just an increase in price?
No, inflation is not just calculated out from nowhere. Okay, so economists, we use what we call consumer price index to calculate inflation.
Okay.
So what does consumer price index mean? It's a bundle or a basket of goods and services that is being estimated. Okay, this comprises what people go for on a daily basis. So the basket contains food and beverages. Okay, you think the government does not know how much a basket of tomato is sold? The government is aware. The government is aware how much a model of beans is sold. The government is aware how much a bag of rice is sold. Okay, so they do that calculation and keep. They calculate cost of transportation and keep. They calculate cost of housing, cost of healthcare. So a combination, a summation of all this gives us what we call the consumer price index. It gives us a number.
Okay.
So if, for example, in last month, you budgeted, let's say, 80,000 naira, probably 20,000 for feeding, 20,000 for transportation, 50,000 for probably housing, and 10,000 for healthcare.
Okay.
That's 80. Then in this month, you discover that, the 20,000 you budgeted for food stuff, you are using more than that. You are now using 25,000. Then your transportation has also increased to 25,000. You already have 50 there. then your housing cost probably can still remain the same, 50.
Yeah.
That's 100.
Yeah.
And the other aspect, this thing I talked about, is healthcare. So when you sum the current, you divide it by the previous one, you see that difference is what gives us that index number. That's what we call the consumer price index. Okay. So you measure your total expenses, the total amount it will cost you to acquire these items in the previous month or the previous year, and the amount it will cost you now. That's how you know what is inflation. Okay. So it means what you buy an item last month or last day is not the same way you buy that same commodity this month or that services.
Okay, so is inflation a good or a bad thing for an economy generally?
Inflation is needed in an economy,
okay,
but a single-digit inflation. Okay, when inflation is less than 1%, less than 10%, it is single-digit.
Okay.
So ideally, it is recommended that between 2 to 4% inflation rate is ideal for an economy. So there are economies that have that. So in categorizing inflation, we have different types. We have what we call a creeping inflation. When the inflation rate is between less than 10%, you say your inflation is creeping. So it is going gradually. You don't really see it biting. So annually. Then we now have what we call working inflation. When your inflation is between 10% to 20%. It's a working inflation. So most developing economies also fall in that category. So if you look at Nigeria, currently our inflation rate is around, I think, 18.02%. So you can say, we are having a working inflation. Okay. Then we also have what we call a galloping inflation. Your galloping inflation is when the rate is between 20% to 50 or 100% annually. Okay. So prices just keep surging. Prices just keep going up. Then the worst of it all is hyperinflation. When you have 50% changes or increase in price level within the month. So, for example, you get a wristwatch this month, say 100,000 naira. Next month, you are going to get that wristwatch. It's now 1 million naira. So there are countries that have experienced that hyperinflation. Countries like Zimbabwe, countries like Venezuela. So when it gets to that level, it's no longer good for an economy. So if you're having a creeping inflation, it is healthy for an economy. Because if the economy is so stagnant, you see that, your money is just there, it's not going to yield any interest in future. Nobody is going to come and invest in such an economy. So if there are no dynamics, there are no changes in prices. So what is unhealthy about inflation is when it becomes so unpredictable, when your economy is not stable. So that's one of the ways that people use to make investment decisions. Then for consumers too, what has an advantage also have a disadvantage. For consumers, what inflation does is it gives you more money.
Oh, it does?
Yes, it gives you more money.
How?
Okay, for example, let me use this. For salary earners.
Okay.
Before now, minimum wage was around 30-something thousand, right?
Yes.
Today, how much is it?
70-something.
That's what inflation has done.
Oh.
Okay, it has put more money in your pocket.
But when you go to the market, it takes the money away.
That's the other side of it. So it reduces your purchasing power. So as it is giving you more money, it is also reducing your purchasing power.
Is that really a benefit?
It's not a benefit. So it's what we call money illusion. You feel you have money, okay? But at the end of the day, you see that the money you have today, probably 100,000 naira today, is as good as your 20,000 naira yesterday. So inflation also, it's not good. It benefits debtors. If you are owing somebody 50,000 naira yesterday, so because of inflation, prices of things have gone up. Okay? So you giving that person 50,000 naira today can just be like you giving back that person 50,000. Your 50,000 worth of yesterday can be like 500,000 worth of today. Okay, so the person is owing you. You are just giving the person 50,000 naira in the sense that you collected 50,000 naira. But what that person is able to buy with that 50,000 naira, the purchasing power drops. So inflation is quite unhealthy in an economy if you look at it at a very increasing rate. But if it is between less than 4%, it is healthy for an economy.
Okay, let's take a quick break.
Okay.
All right, now we're going on a very short break. When we come back, we'll break down inflation some more. Please stay with us.
Everybody has a stake in making the world a better place with love and compassion. As we thrive daily, we continue to strive to face the many challenges that faces our earth because together we all matter. On one side, we are exploring the captivating stories, the trends, the glamour, while on the other hand, we're looking at the love, the care and compassion from our champions. In our star's quiet cove lies the burning passion for humanity, which is seldom known and unsung to the world. Join me on Famed to look at the flip side of your favorite beyond the regular.
For 2 seasons, Timeline has taken you on a journey of exploring real-life issues and solutions. Well, we are on to season 3 of Timeline, a space where we talk about real issues shaping our world. Here, we sit down with voices that matter, with people who are driving change and making impact. We are talking about more than just problems. We're talking about the attainment of our collective commitment, the global goals, the SDGs, and of course, our community-specific targets. Our conversations aren't just about highlighting problems. They're about finding solutions that truly works, solutions that touches lives and impact the globe. An appraisal of how close we are in meeting our global and community targets. We create rooms for honest, thought-provoking conversations, a ride that you wouldn't want to miss. Well, this is Timeline, where conversations lead to solutions that change lives.
Glad to know you're still there. This is still Untangle right here on Hued Network, and we are breaking down inflation. All right, so if I remember the first few things you said, you talked about the different, should I say the types of inflation now? Yeah. And you talked about the particular one where money is chasing goods, so it causes inflation. And then you also mentioned that when it passes a specific percentage, it becomes unhealthy. Now, I'm trying to streamline this to the consumers, for example. Now, when inflation becomes unhealthy, how does the government come in? How do maybe central banks, for example, try to help consumers when inflation becomes unhealthy for people living in an economy?
Okay. There are always two sides to tackling economic issues.
Okay.
Okay. So we have the monetary aspect, which is solely the responsibility of the central bank. So they can use monetary instruments to curb down inflation. How do they do that? You increase interest rates. So when you increase interest rates, for example, you have 100,000, and you hear that the interest rate is 15% for you to save. Instead of spending your money, you take your money rather to go and save, right? So if 5 of us have 100,000 naira, majority will prefer to go and save that money and earn that interest rate. by the government or the central bank increasing interest rates, they have reduced liquidity in the economy. That's one aspect.
And that will reduce inflation.
Yes, that will reduce inflation.
Okay.
Secondly, the central bank can also use what we call open market operations. They will sell government securities, okay? Sell treasury bill, treasury bonds. Now, because you know that the government will always pay you, okay? It is a safe place for you to put your money. As you are going to go and buy those government securities, that, okay, they are going to pay you when it matures at so period of time. The government is also mopping out that money from the system. So it's one of the ways to reduce inflation. Then secondly, the aspects that we don't like, in curbing inflation is through fiscal measures. What is fiscal measures? Government reduce expenditure. Okay? When government does not pump money into the economy, probably you can delay paying salaries. Nobody wants to hear that. And it's very terrible. You understand? Or you can reduce wages, which is also, nobody wants to hear that. Or increase taxes. So when you tax the people, or you tax the economy, it is bringing money to the government, not to the people. Okay? Then another aspect is to boost production.
Okay.
When you boost production, you see that, okay, more money is being exchanging hands with more goods and services in the economy. So that's one of the ways the government can use in tackling inflation.
Okay, I think this is making sense because, in a normal day, one would think that because there's no money, that's why there's inflation or something. There's this confusion, especially for average people. I, for once, I'd be thinking, okay, inflation, prices are increasing. It's because there's no money or something, but it's quite interesting that you're breaking it down for us. So are there particular things that happen, for example, that get inflation out of control? Maybe, say, pandemics or war, around the globe generally.
Yes. There are things that triggers inflation.
Okay.
Just like I mentioned earlier, the causes of inflation.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like in Nigeria, we hear the formal administration where people talk about ways and means, where the central bank printed so much money. Okay. They can decide to round trip. You go get dollar at a certain rate, take it to black market, sell at a certain rate. There's so much money in circulation. It can lead to inflation. Okay. Now, when there's during what's it called, subsidy removal. Now that is what we call cost push inflation. Okay. We have demand pull inflation. We also have cost push inflation. Demand pull inflation is caused by aggregate demand, where people have too much money is chasing few goods. Then cost push inflation is when the cost of production is high. For example, if like what we saw last year, the increment in the reduction in fuel subsidy, cost of transportation went up, right?
Yes.
Now, the cost of transportation going up means that cost of goods and services will go up. Because the person going to the market to go and buy goods to come and sell to us, they use the normal mode of transportation.
Yeah.
You get. So it passes through that. So government policies such as that can also cause inflation. Now, the government can also cause inflation if deliberately. Okay. I'm yet to see it happen. Okay. The government can also cause inflation. If the government decide to give all Nigerians 5 million, for example, what do you think will happen? You buy bottled water for probably 1 million naira because everybody have money. Everybody want to spend.
So largely, it means that inflation is majorly caused by, should I say consumers?
To a large extent, because consumers respond to respond to different economic activities
Okay.
at a time. So I talked about expectations. Okay? Those ones are driven by consumers. Because you're expecting probably the supply is going to drop, so you better buy now and keep.
Yeah, but that
Okay?
actually causes
Yes,
inflation.
it causes inflation. So if you are expecting low supply, probably of petrol, Pengasin wants to go on strike, or Nupen wants to go on strike, and you know that tomorrow or next week that strike is going to take effect, and there won't be fuel in our stations, in circulation. People will go and rush. They will rush now, buy it and keep. So the person that is selling can just decide to lock their tank that we are not selling. So create artificial scarcity so that the prices will go up. So those are ways that we can also increase, we can cause inflation, we ourselves. The reckless spending too causes inflation. Yes. When there's so much money, people feel there's money, you want to spend recklessly. So inflation can be caused by us. It can be triggered by us because of our spending habits.
A lot of people misunderstand what inflation is. Are there some myths or popular misunderstandings that you've come across? Maybe you hear a layman saying something and then referencing it to inflation. Are there some things like that you've heard?
Most times you hear, there's too much money chasing few goods. It can be true, but it might not necessarily be true.
Okay.
You understand? Some people can say, this government wants to kill us, so price of things are just increasing anyhow. But sometimes it's not necessarily the government. So our own expectations, our own behaviors too, can also trigger inflation. Then when people are not productive, okay, it means we are opening our doors for imports. Okay. The inflation can be triggered. There is money, the activities of businesses relying on goods from abroad can also open way for inflation, which is even imported. Okay, because the price of production out there, the cost of transporting it, bringing here to Nigeria, can go up. So because of that too, it can also cause inflation. So it's not government, or government wanting to kill people. So consumers also play a major role in triggering inflation.
Okay, thank you so much. I, for one, have totally understood the fact that inflation is somewhat healthy because to a consumer, inflation is the worst thing, that ever happens to us.
Not say inflation, a certain amount of inflation, below 4%.
A certain amount of inflation. Yes. Thank you for that clarification. All right, so just to round up, if you were told to break down inflation to, say, a secondary school student in one sentence, how would you put it?
The secondary school student in one sentence. It's a general increase. That's not general increase in price level over time.
Over time?
Yes.
All right. Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure having you to untangle inflation.
Thank you.
But before you go, is there a particular thing about inflation you want to say to us?
I think currently, the government is making drastic efforts in reducing inflation. The rates are going down. Okay. Though if you look at the food inflation in Nigeria, it has gone from, 21% thereabout to about 16%. So it shows that something is going on there. To a large extent, it might be attributed to the harvesting period that we are now currently. Okay. So there's food. I remember there was a time where 500 naira cannot buy pepper. Yeah. But today with 200 naira, there's pepper in the market. So the government, I think they're trying their best in reducing inflation, and Nigerians should be somehow patient. It's going to go down. What we need to do is also to increase production, because if people are making money and it's not, you don't have the same, a commiserable level of production in the economy. They are paying you salaries, they are paying me salary. Okay? We cannot buy this cloth in Nigeria. We have to buy from abroad. Inflation will hit us.
All right. Thank you so very much. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you.
All right. And this is where we draw the curtains on today's episode of Untangle. Well, remember, you have your part to play, so do well by increasing production so that we have a reasonable amount of inflation. My name, as always, is Blessing Dagin. Bye for now.